a pipette is a laboratory skill that takes a lot of practice. You certainly cannot learn it from watching this video or any other video, but you might be able to pick up a few tips to help you in your practice. Ultimately though, just like anything else that you can learn to do, there is no substitute for experience. Well, as you can see here, or as you can kind of see here, a pipette is a precision volume measuring device. Those little tiny markings on the pipette are actually in hundredths of a milliliter, and the major markings are in tenths of a milliliter. And this allows you to make a very precise measurement of liquid volume. This entire pipette that you're seeing in this video only holds a total of about 1 milliliter of liquid. Of course, they can be smaller than that or they can be larger than that. This particular one is a 1 ml pipette. Something that you can also see on this pipette, and you'll notice if you have one of your own, that there is often a little plug of cotton in the top of the pipette. And this plug of cotton is to ensure that you don't pull liquid through the pipette and up into the bulb, which is what you're going to use to create a suction to pull liquid into the pipette with. A safety note here, never, ever use your mouth to pull liquids up into a pipette, even if it's just water. It's a terrible habit to get into, and you might end up hurting or poisoning yourself someday if you persist with it. So always use a bulb of some sort. Eventually, though, you'll get good enough at pipetting that it really won't matter if there's a cotton plug in the end of the pipette or not. So don't be too worried about it if it ends up coming out at some point in time. So, as I said, you're going to use this bulb or something like it to create a vacuum. First of all, though, you have to put it onto the pipette, and you want to put it lightly onto the pipette so you can easily and quickly remove it when you need to. Don't jam it all the way on there. Just set it on there nice and lightly. Then squeeze the bulb and push the tip of the pipette against the bottom of the beaker. So, to keep up with where we're going here, you want to put the bulb lightly onto the pipette. And then you want to push the tip of the pipette against the bottom of the beaker or whatever container you're pulling the liquid out of. Now, the reason for this is that holding against the bottom of the beaker will make it more difficult to pull liquid up into the pipette, just a little bit, but it will help keep you from sucking liquid all the way up through the pipette and into the bulb, which can kind of make a mess depending on what it is that you're pipetting. And secondly, it will also help the liquid not drain out of the pipette so quickly so that you can measure it more easily. So, after you pull liquid into the pipette by releasing the bulb slightly, you want to transfer the bulb off of the top of the pipette and put your index finger of your other hand onto the pipette itself. And holding it on there, of course, will keep the liquid from leaving the pipette because you're not allowing air in the top of the pipette. So you've got it sealed with your index finger. So that's the next step, is to seal the pipette with your index finger. Now some people try to let the liquid out of the pipette by squeezing the bulb, by keeping the bulb on there and squeezing the bulb. This is extraordinarily difficult to do, and the technique that I'm showing you here is much easier to do once you've mastered it. It's not too terribly difficult to master. So the next step is to measure the liquid out of the pipette, or with the pipette. and you're going to do that by releasing some of it. So of course the first thing you want to do before you start releasing any liquid is to note the initial volume. So at this point the liquid is somewhere in the pipette, and you can look at the meniscus and see and read what the volume is before you start letting some of it out. Most likely you're trying to measure a specific volume out of it, so you want to know where you've started so that you can calculate that. So here comes the tricky part. Once you've got your finger on the top of the pipette, you want to roll the pipette back and forth in your hand. So using your fingers, keeping that index finger tight against the top or letting up just a little bit, you want to roll that pipette back and forth and let liquid drop out of the pipette. You don't want to lift your finger up off the top of the pipette entirely, because then all the liquid's going to run out very quickly, especially with a small pipette like this. So the way that you meter the liquid out is to roll the pipette with your fingers. And you might let up just a little bit of pressure with your index finger. And then finally, once you've measured out however much you want it to measure out, you note the final volume. And of course, like with anything, initial minus final gives you the amount that you've measured. So, to walk through a quick recap, you put the bulb on top of the pipette lightly. You push the tip against the bottom of the beaker and pull some liquid up into it. Transfer it to your index finger, and then roll the pipette slowly, letting up just a little bit of pressure on your index finger so that the liquid can drip out of the pipette, and then you're done. That's all there is. It does take a lot of practice, but you can master this if you put some time into it. And before long you'll be measuring very confidently with the pipette. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and do some chemistry.